Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
After a very successful opening round at Virginia International Raceway, where we had almost 40 GT4 and prototype cars fit right in on Paul Newman's version of Heaven, tonight we head north of the border to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport if you're old school, and the course that just over 50 years ago put the Can in Can-Am and whose sweeping high-speed corners saw Sir Sterling Moss, as its very first race winner, and also has played home to the very first Formula One Canadian Grand Prix. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the well, what is this, Larry? It is it's round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports. I've got copy-paste issues tonight. Round number 2 of Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and not missing this copy-paste, joining me in the announce booth as always is Larry Lefty McLeod with our director Lee Thompson working behind the scenes and giving you all the great views here of tonight's action. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome to Mosport, a circuit known for its flow, its high-speed corners that require beaucoup d'engagement. That's a lot of commitment for you Southerners, and the challenges presented by, of course, multi-class racing.
Yes, and it's not a copy of any track that we've ever seen before. Just to make that reference, I had to say it. Yes, Greg, welcome. This is awesome.
Welcome.
This is another great night of some wonderful racing we're going to see. We've got a couple of classes again. I think what we saw in the first round was a pretty good intermingling of both different classes and having talent in both of them, of the types of cars as well as the pro and ams there in the actual sports cars as opposed to the prototypes. I think it's going to be great. I think it's another fantastic round. This place sometimes is tough to pass, but when it comes to multi-class racing, it's always entertaining.
It's going to be entertaining. There is that much of a difference in pace between the LMP3 Legers and the GT4 cars. We always watch for danger at turn 2. Also coming up obviously into Moss Corner as well, and we should definitely be looking for that here tonight, as well as Lee is giving us that quick little overview of our track here, Mosport Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and you can just see all those fast corners here all the way through the S's that bring
8, 9,
you to the end.
10. Yeah, it's going to be a home of a lot of attempted side-by-sides, and it's going to be victory for some, tears for others around that sequence. Always fun to watch, and I can't wait. We've had this track a number of times over the different Extreme Series we've called, and they always are a great show. This should be a good one.
It should. So let's do this, Larry. We've just seen the overview of Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford, and he's going to give us his track guide tonight, which includes a little history lesson, and he squeezes it all into 2 minutes time. That's how fast this track is. Kevin, take it away.
Welcome, everyone, to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, located here in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 2.5-mile road course. Canadian Tire was originally named Mosport and was built in the late 1950s, with its first major event being held in August of 1961, with Sterling Moss getting the win in his Lotus 19, hence the name of turns 5A and B, Moss Corner. Well, let's begin our track guide around this beautiful road course. As we head up the front straightaway here, you'll notice our flag stand to the left as we cross the finish line and head down into this very fast right-hand corner here of turn 1. Hitting this exit right can be a little tricky. You're going to track right out to the edge of the course here, get up into 5th gear, and get ready for this downhill treacherous corner of turn 2. So easy to find yourself out there in the grass fighting that tire barrier out there. Here we go, down into turn 3 here. This is another fast, sweeping right-hand corner. Let the car drift out, get right back to throttle, and come right out to the outer edge to get as much momentum as you can down this little short straight into 5th gear once again, and down into the left-hander and up into Moss Corner, turns 5A and B. Bit of a treacherous corner there. You can see it's very difficult to get that aim just right to get a good run out of Moss and up onto Mario Andretti straightaway. Heading up the backstretch here, big overtaking opportunities here. Probably the most overtaking that goes on here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is right here at the end of this straightaway. Now heading down into turn 8, get down on the brakes, let that car roll down into this big carousel sweeping right-hander. This will bring us into the quick left-hander here that takes us to the final corner, White's Corner, here at Canadian Tire. Back to the right, then right up off the exit of the corner, and then down to the start-finish line once again. There's your track guide for Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Thanks so much for being with us.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide and history lesson of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport, here in Ontario, Canada. Larry, we're getting ready to head out for qualifying, and as we do, waiting for our guest to pop in, because, well, he always likes to head out at the very end of qualifying. We know that if he were to jump on track with anything more than like 10 minutes left to go, something would be very wrong with his plan. We're going to welcome in Eric Violette to the commentary booth here, driver of the number 89 D2D eRacing LMP3 Ligier. He was our TCR champ in seasons 1, 2, and 4, and a very big change for him and his D2D teammate Brandon Whitworth as well this season.
Yeah, Eric. Hey, good evening. Hey. I know you're not going to qualify yet. You're going to get out there at the end of qualifying, get the quick track. Should be a little pretty quick to get a couple laps in. But, it's a big change from TCR from years ago, it seems, to jumping into the LMP3s. What do you think so far?
Yeah, it's a fun car. It's, vastly different, obviously, with the speed and the aero. It took me a little while to get used to just how much downforce these things really have. The good news was doing the GR86 last season in the Toyota helped me get back into rear-wheel drive. So at least I had that down. Like, hey, you can spin these things on throttle, unlike the TCR.
Yeah, for sure, very different in that regards. But they've got some sport with these things, which I don't think the GR86 had much of. How's that transition?
Yeah, it feels like I'm got this thing on fast forward. Compared to the GR86.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. And I think they race a little bit differently as well. It's a pretty good pack. I'm looking at tonight. What do we got, about 12 or 13 or something like that signed up here tonight? A lot more numbers than maybe we had in the TCR. What does that mean in terms of the racing and how these races play out?
It's kind of interesting. I was kind of coming into this one just as a kind of a fun series, but then I was actually competitive. So I'm not taking it quite as serious as I was with the TCR. I mean, I'm taking the racing seriously, but I'm not spending the dozens and dozens of hours doing setup. It's more about practice. Because it's just like this car, there's a lot of knobs to tweak on this thing, and I just can't go through and test every single little thing. So that's probably the biggest change for me is tweaking setup a little bit, but not as heavily as I was with the TCR. And even the GR86 towards the end of the season, I was still, tuning on the car and learning more about it. So this one I'm learning about it, but I'm a little hesitant to change too much on it right now.
You think that'll change as we get into the season? You think your tone will change towards maybe the latter half? And say, yeah, maybe I'm ready to tweak a couple of knobs.
It could, but we'll see. I mean, I've changed a few things, but not a lot. I mean, it's I won't give any of my big secrets. There really aren't, but it's really I've just made it so it's more comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I know the team, you guys often, I'm sure, share some setups either with each other, at least as advice and things. I always like to ask, what is it like being on a team with Bobby? What's he really like?
It's great. It's everything you would imagine it to be. From you guys have had him in the interview or
and
the broadcast
so much
booth.
more, I'm sure.
And actually, you know what? There is so much more. When he's talking to you guys, the filter's on. So our conversations, they get quite colorful. How's that?
That is awesome to know. Well, I'll let you get to qualifying. This has been great, and good luck tonight. It's going to be a busy night with multi-class racing and these couple of cars mixing it up. I'm sure you'll do well, and maybe one of these weeks we'll get a chance to interview you again.
Busy's an understatement. You're going to see that the traffic is going to be insane here. That's probably the biggest thing. I mean, top 3 guys, or maybe top 4, we're all within like a tenth or 2, and it's going to be. I think it's going to come down to traffic. Risk versus reward and all that good stuff.
Oh, I can't wait. I love these kind of races.
All right. Yeah. All right. It'll be a good broadcast. You guys.
It should be. All right. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Eric Violet from D2D E-Racing, driving the LMP, the number 89 LMP3 Ligier. And Larry, Eric was our fastest driver in testing this week. He put in a 110.228. Which is currently underneath our provisional pole time in LMP2, set by Mike Dam, who are watching on screen right now in the number 93 Orion Racing LMP3. And just as much as we talked obviously with Eric and the changes that he and that he and Brandon have had to go through this week. The whole Orion team moving over from the GT cars to the LMP3s this season in the sports car series has been a pretty big wholesale change, and it actually worked out pretty darn well for Robert Hartley, who took the win at round 1 at VIR, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's quickly take a look. As we said, Mike Dam, currently your fastest driver on track in the LMP3s. His teammate Travis Schwenke, currently about 0.3 of a second off of Dam's provisional pole time. And then Michael Brooks sitting 3rd currently on course with a qualifying time of 1:11.10. Brooks running for the wrong stuff this weekend, and much like those 3 drivers, pretty easy to tell the difference between an LMP3 prototype car and the GT cars. But you'll notice that all the LMP3s, I'm just going to point it out there. Wow, nice little slide there coming through Moss. By Michael Brooks. The LMP3 cars, they've got orange mirrors and number boards, and also the end plates on the wings. That's how you can tell them apart. But let's move over now to some GT4 action, where our fastest driver currently in GT4 Pro, driving the number 188 geodesic McLaren. That is Justin Ream. Justin was also our fastest driver in practice this week. He had put in a 121.899 on low fuel. He's not quite there yet, couple tenths off, but currently the measure of the field is he's got a 1/1300th of almost 1/1400th of a second advantage over Ken Copeland, who's looking to repeat after Copeland took the win in GT4 Pro for Team Esport Racer a couple weeks ago. And then Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff currently sitting 3rd here in qualifying with a 122.59, just a couple of hundredths off of off of Brooks's times, or probably off of Copland's times. If we take a look over it, and before I was going to say before we switch over, we'll get back to it in a second here. The GT4 cars, you're going to notice that they've got red mirrors and number boards and windshield banners, as opposed to the AM category drivers like Alex Brown right here that we're watching, our provisional pole sitter in GT4 AM. The AM cars have green number boards and mirrors and windshield banners, and that's how you'll tell the pros and the AMs apart. Currently, Brown with a 122.68, and he's got a pretty good advantage on the rest of the field right now. 2/10 up on Russ Ruddick, with one of the Flying Dragata brothers, Leo Dragata, and his Aston Martin, currently running third in qualifying. Matter of fact, it looks like Ruddick has already completed his 4 flying laps, and Dragata's on his last currently here. And of course, the qualifying session's 15 minutes long, but we give our drivers only 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest time and set the grid for tonight's race.
Yeah, and a couple of good flying laps have already been put into the books. So it should be interesting, as we've got Justin Ream currently on that provisional pole in the GT4 Pro. We didn't see him in round 1,
No.
the Canadian, actually. So perhaps not sure how far he is from this track in real life, but I'm sure he's got a little bit of Canadian pride and wants to
I'm
hold
sure
that
he's right
down
in the
there.
paddock, Larry. Using the at-track Wi-Fi right now for
I'm sure he is, but
qualifying.
if nothing else, I'm sure he's got a Canadian pride of wanting to do well at the quote-unquote virtual home track. So he's out there right on the front row with Ken Copland, actually also occupying a provisional front row. Those two are done with their qualifying laps. Out there now, I see Tom Jenkins still finishing a lap. We've got, of course, here Bruce Jackson out there in the middle of his 4th lap.
Yeah, Bruce Jackson currently running 8th in LMP3, looking to improve upon his current 8th position. He's sitting right behind Baron Glover, just ahead of Aaron Beaver, as he's going to come up to the S's here.
I do want to point out, our provisional pole sitter right now is Mike Dam in the LMP3s. We've got Justin Ream in the GT4 Pros. And, of course, we've got Alex Brown in the GT4 AMs. And what do they all have in common? They fly the Maple Leaf. All three of them.
All 3 of them. All right, well, we've got an American right now, Eric Violet, who we just finished speaking to a few moments ago. He's heading down the Andretti Straight. And coming, or actually, no,
more
that
like
wasn't
the
the
Moss
Andretti Straight. He's
hairpin.
coming in the Moss now. It's all the same.
That's all right. There'll be a quiz later.
All right, he was coming out of
Hey,
Quebec
Greg,
corner,
Greg,
going.
Where is he now?
Now he's on the Andretti Straight here, Larry. And Violet currently sitting 9th in LMP3, and he is only on lap number 2. And so he should have plenty of time.
Yeah, a couple of goofballs occupied him for a few minutes. So he had to get out there, get the tires warmed up. Let's see what this first one is. It lays down again right now. Anything in the 22s would be near the front row.
All right, and as he crosses the stripe, he moves up to 7th, puts in a 111.57.
Yeah, if he was the 22s, he'd have an awfully good GT4 time, but not such a good time in LMP3.
That's not so great in LMP3.
No, not so much. 110s would be a little better.
All right, so we've got the 2 Orion teammates, Dan and Schwenke, sitting up at the top of the order in LMP3, and and as it seems, also notice that it does not appear as though Brandon Whitworth is here this evening for D2D. So Violet's going to have to rely on Bobby Childs to help set a fast lap.
Anything's possible.
It's true, and we're watching Bruce Jackson, who just completed his 4th and final flying lap. The number 22 machine puts in a 111.71, and that is only good for 9th. As he slots in right between Baron Glover and Aaron Beaver.
Well, Eric Violet's still out there on this lap. He should be coming around. Yep, there he is. Through turn 10, finishing his 3rd lap. We'll see if he improves in the 111.5. And he does by a 10th. So one more go at it. Right now, like you had mentioned, he's still on that 4th row provisionally on the inside of it right now alongside Baron Glover if we were to start right now, but he's got one more shot. A 111.29 or better would move him up a row. He gets into the 110s. He can maybe get himself close to the front row.
Yeah, and so we mentioned that Robert Hartley, who is also not here this evening in round one, took the win in LMP3 for the Orion Racing team. Brandon Whitworth, Eric's teammate, finished in second, with Ryan Reeves from SRT Esports taking the third step on the podium. The Michael Brooks and Eric Violette rounded out your top five. And I don't think there's any sense in going and taking a look at the current point standings, because that's
They're going to
pretty
be
much where
very
we
similar to those round one
Exactly.
results.
All right, so Violet now coming into turns 8, 9, and the final corner 10. And we've already seen a couple of these LMP3 machines Larry, here in qualifying having some issues at turn-in at turn 8 with the rear end stepping out wide on them. But Violet seems to have pretty good control of the car. And as he crosses the stripe, he improves once again, knocks another just about 15 hundredths off of his previous lap time, puts in a 111.24. That will move him up into 6th. So he'll start on the outside of row number 3. As we still have about 2 minutes left in qualifying, and I think, Larry, all of our drivers have completed their 4 flying laps, with the exception of I think Greg Brockway is the only one. It looked like he brought the car back into the pits at the end of lap number 2, or probably at the end of lap number 3. So
so I mentioned that we've got our pole sitter GT4 Pro, Justin Ream. He'll obviously start on the front of all of the GT4s, as they are intermixed between pros and AMs. Ken Copeland, your round 1 winner of that class, is going to go ahead and start alongside of them. I think that's interesting that Justin up there didn't run round 1 alongside the round 1 winner. That could be a good little matchup there. Your round 1 winner in GT4 AM, I believe, was Leo Dragotta, and he's all the way back in, let's see here, 4, 8. He's somewhere back at about row 6 or 7 as third quickest in AM. So he's going to have a little bit of a challenge there. He's probably about 3 rows behind Alex Brown, the pole sitter, or the fastest of the GT4 AMs, but there's going to be about 6 cars between them, including Russ Ruddock, who's another of the AM drivers. So it's going to be pretty competitive amongst the AM drivers. Leo's going to, if he wants to back up his round 1 win, is going to have to get off to a good start, but he's going to have Chuck Labano right behind him. He's got people like Brennan Horan, look like they're going to start behind him. Now, Brennan's out of the pro category, but could be one to try and make a move early here in this race. And Leo won't have his teammate Lucas to help him out. He's down in 13th in the AM class. Yeah,
quite a bit further down. So quickly, as you mentioned, Leo Dragotta taking the win in AM 3 weeks ago at VIR with Ian Patience from the Wrong Stuff in his Ricmotech SportsCar Series debut, finishing 2nd. Chuck Labano finished 3rd. And in GT4 Pro, Ken Copeland from Esport Racer with the win. Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff finishing 2nd. And Brennan Horan from D2D finishing 3rd.
Ian Patience right now on the grid, 9th in AM. As you said, he was 2nd in the class in the results, the standings at VIR. He's got some work to do tonight. He's going to back that up.
Yeah, and he started on the outside of the front row in AM at VIR. So yeah, he's definitely got his work really cut out for him. All right, so let's take a look at that starting order in LMP3, where Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke will make up your front row. Dam with a qualifying time of 110.123, and that was underneath Violet's times from practice this week. Michael Brooks and Dre Divock starting 3rd and 4th tonight. The Wrong Stuff teammates making up row number 2. Bobby Childs from D2D and his teammate Eric Violette will make up row number 3. They'll start 5th and 6th. Then Kyle Strikers from SRT Esport and Baron Glover from the Wrong Stuff. They'll make up row number 4 with Bruce Jackson and Aaron Beaver starting 9th and 10th. And Marlon Jones rounding out the 11-car LMP3 field.
Over in the GT4, as I mentioned on the poll tonight, it is a staggered start. The LMP3s will get their start. GT4s as a pack, pros and AMs will start together. But on the poll is the Canadian Justin Ream. We didn't see him in round 1, but he's going to start as the front row, the starter here in the GT4s in round 2. He'll be alongside Ken Copeland on the outside of front row. Row 2 will be Robert Schwenkler and Alex Brown. Alex Brown, of course, the highest qualifier of the AM category. The next row is going to be Chris Thorman and Kevin Ford, making up the 3rd row. 4th row will be David Payton and Russ Ruddock. On row 5 is going to be Jeff Jacobs and Leo Dragota, your round 1 winner in the AM category. Row 6 will be Chuck Labano and Brennan Horan. Row 7, we've got John Sterling and Neil Wilson. On row 8, Tom Jenkins and Steve Daniel. Row 9 will be John Casey and Ian Patience. As you said, he finished the first race up on the podium. He's got work to do tonight. On the following row, Dale Maxwell will be lined up with Brad Husty. Following them, you've got Lucas Dragota and Dominique Angelicchio. And then finally, Greg Brockway and Robert Brist making up the last row of our grid.
All right, and Larry, and this is this might be somewhat interesting. I am showing Robert Schwenkler on the pit lane, and we'll see if that is how he starts this race. But he may be starting, 27th. Well, if you count just the GT4 cars, he'll be starting. Where are we? Actually, about 24th.
Yeah, and for somebody that had this thing as the inside of row 2, and he was our second place finisher in the first round, that's a big hit for him to have to start from the pits. I don't know if he just had a sim issue there, but we'll keep our eyes on that.
We'll see how that plays out as we've got our pace lap now underway here at Mosport, and we can see our probably our LMP3 drivers trying to get some heat in those cars. And it was funny, Larry, when you were talking to Eric Violette, and he started to I think in some ways compare his experience in the GR86 Cup car to these LMP3 Ligers, and all I could think of is, because he started talking about, it's so neat to have downforce. And so, when I was driving the GR86 Cup car, I'm going, wait, is he comparing that little wing on the back of the GR86 to the downforce he gets with these Ligers?
The Ligier has a little bit more downforce.
That's right. Oh my. All right, and a little bit further behind, the GT4 machines led by Justin Rame and now Ken Copeland, your new front row. They are making their way around as well. Again, we'll have a split start here with the LMP3 cars getting the green first. We do have a live starter that will be giving the start command, so don't pay that much attention to the little lights up at the top center of your screen. When they come out of turn number 8 into turn number 9, they will be starting to get ready. They will enter that start zone just as they come onto the front straight, and then it's up to the starter to give that start command. And so Mike Dam, Travis Schwenker with a good pace coming around the corner here. And green flag, very early green, just as they come out of turn number 10, Larry, and onto the front straight. And Mike Dam with a very good start. He opens up 3 car lengths on Travis Schwenke, who pulls in a little bit closer, coming down into turn 1. And now they are all fanning out, heading down the hill into turn 2, as Michael Brooks took a quick look to the outside as Schwenke wasn't able to find room there. And now we've got Brooks Childs with a very strong start now, moves up a position. He moves up to 4th. He gets around Dre Divock. Eric Violette, his teammate, gets around the wrong stuff driver Divock as well as they come down the hill. And our GT4 drivers now get the green flag and ream to the inside in that McLaren. The Mercedes of Alex Brown to the outside as they come down, sweeping speedy turn number 1, heading down over towards turn number 2 and jumping to an early lead. Ken Copeland in that Mercedes looking to repeat after his round 1 win at VIR.
Yeah, great job for Copeland to hold the outside through 1 and give him that position then on the inside as they went down the hill. Really a great job for him to be able to just edge out Ream there. The 2 of them back single file. Back in the pack though, look at that, 3 wide as I see Russ Ruddock in that little group in there. And they're starting to maybe sort this out as they go underneath the Continental Bridge. And as they head down to Moss. But up in the front here where they're LMP3s, they are now finally single file. Dam and Schwenke as they started. Brooks and now Childs ahead of the rest of the pack. Over here, Leo Dragota's got himself off coming into Moss hairpin. Doesn't look like a lot of damage, but that's going to be a ego damage right there.
That was your round 1 AM winner as he puts the car off on the opening lap and falls all the way to the rear of the field. And Larry, from the looks of it, I don't believe Robert Schwenkler rejoined the pack. We'll have to actually, I'm showing now that he's got quite a bit of speed. I think he is actually now on track. But sits a very distant 9th position in the program.
Well, they've got the stewards already looking at an incident between the 34 Chuck Labano and the 118 of Leo Dragota. I'm wondering if that had something to do with Leo being off of the Moss hairpin out in the dirt on the outside and getting back on track. So we'll let the stewards take a look at that.
All right, so I know we're having some technical issues right now. Larry and I will continue to feed you the action as we can here, as our leaders in LMP3 already heading down to turn 2, but we're watching Kyle Strikers right now, currently sitting in 7th, a little bit behind him. Aaron Beaver had dropped a wheel off coming out of turn number 10, but Strikers, they're just behind Dre Divock, who is sitting in 6th position, and Divock just does not appear to have the pace that the two D2D racers, Childs and Violet, had. He had fallen back at the start, and he is now dropped back, Larry, almost 15 car lengths. Also getting word now that the 34 machine has received incident responsibility.
Chuck Labano. Yep, so that was a pretty quick call there by the stewards. Chuck Labano given responsibility of the incident there with Leo Dragota. He will have a drive-through penalty to serve. So we'll get to that in a minute. But you're right about going back to the LMP3s. Dre Divock had a bit of a rough start considering the pace of what's around him. On this lap, as we're watching, he seems to now have recovered a little bit and now starting to pull away from Kyle Strikers. But Divock's teammate, I think, is Baron Glover, looks like right behind Kyle. So you've got the wrong stuff. Then you got the SRT, and then you got another wrong stuff, all of them sort of lined up, and they're already coming up to the back of the GT4 pack. So very quickly emerging into the pack, and this is going to make some of this racing amongst the LMP3s interesting, as there's 4 wide down the straight between turns 1 and 2, and they go down the hill round 2.
That's right.
Oh,
and we've got 2 cars that have gone off on the outside.
One of them is Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby Childs in his LMP3 Ligier, and we've got, I think, one of the Mercedes that has gone off as well. Actually, it's Brad Husty that has gone off in the Midfield Motorsports machine.
That was one of them, yeah. There was another one, I think, also that had gone around the outside of 2 that ended up down near the wall. There's the Mercedes there.
Dale Maxwell, possibly.
The Mercedes is parked, as one of them at least, right at the entry to the Moss hairpin.
Yeah, so we had Husty in the Aston Martin go off backwards, and I believe Dale Maxwell in the 111 Mercedes was our second GT4 driver that was involved there, with Bobby Childs going off as well. And again, we apologize for some of the technical issues we're having. And going around now, Dre Divock.
Oh, that's a big hit too, because he came back on right in front of a whole pack because he was bouncing around the apex there. And unfortunately for him, he got pretty well clobbered by a few cars. That's Leo Dragota that's kind of giving way there. But look at this. Now you've got Mike Dam, your race leader, going around in turn 10.
And he goes and just now recovers. That's going to move his teammate, Travis Schwenke, up into the lead. Michael Brooks in the second. Strikers, who we were just watching a few moments ago, who is sitting back in I think 7th position, Larry, in LMP3. He now sits 3rd as he's had 2 incidents happen just in front of him. And he's moved that SRT eSport machine up through the field as we're watching Travis Schwenke now try to make his way through this GT4 traffic. And he's got Brendan Oren there at the number 45 machine, who was just trying to hang on right to the rear. That wasn't gonna work for long. But look at now as Schwenke tries to place that car down the Andretti straight with just a sea of GT4 traffic ahead of him. That's Kevin Ford.
Yep, Kevin Ford is going to go around the outside, and then around Thorman. And
Alex
then he comes
Brown,
up.
I believe he's gonna. Looks like Schwenke's gonna hold up behind Alex Brown and follow the 67 machine onto the front straight and then come underneath.
And then right ahead of Brown is going to be Raymond Copeland, your 2 front cars. Brown leading in the AM, 3rd overall in GT4s. The front 2, Raymond Copeland. Copeland had taken the lead shortly, basically on turn 2, but Ream's gotten around him since then, and that's where Schwenke's making his way through that traffic right now, through the leaders in GT4.
And Michael Brooks as well, trying to look as our GT4 drivers are going side by side, out of 1, then 2, and now into 2A. There's the wrong stuff machine of Michael Brooks trying to find a way back up to Travis Schwenke. The gap now over 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, he wants to get past before he gets to the Moss hairpin because he wants to get a good exit here and not be held up. Now he can get that strong exit, maybe even catch a draft off the back of those two GT4 cars and start making his way up to Schwenke before Schwenke completely escapes up the road.
Well, I'll tell you though, in watching Brooks, Larry, the rear end of MJ,
it's loose.
Looking awfully loose as the car started to walk around on him, coming into 5A, the first right-hander at Moss Corner, and then once again on the exit curbing at 5B.
This is not the track that I would want a loose car at. There's so many high-speed entries. You think about turns 8, 9, 10. It's a series of slightly smaller but high entry corners. You come off of Andretti, and in that LMP3, you're more or less chucking it in at, I don't know, it was 160, 170 miles an hour. The last thing you need is an unstable tail end on your LMP3. So Brooks is going to have an interesting night ahead of him. Bodes well for strikers Violet and Beaver, who are still right now about 4 seconds back, but traffic is getting heavy and it's going to present opportunities.
Yeah, and Strikers is actually doing quite well with traffic right now, Larry. He's less than a half second back from Michael Brooks. So we'll see. We'll continue to watch that as we've got a neat little battle going on right now. Not in class, though. It's Russ Ruddick, who's in that green and white BMW. He is currently running second in AM, and Brennan Horn, who has made up a number of positions so far, has actually made up 5 positions on track, still currently sitting 6th in GT4 Pro, trying to find a way around this number 95 machine and get up to David Payton, his teammate.
Yeah, as we get now, the camera showing here at Kyle Stryker is currently running 3rd in the LMP3s with Eric Violet right up behind him. And we talked to Eric again. He's just doing this for fun. When he means fun, he means he's not spending, 16 hours a day doing setups. It just means he's spending 14 hours a day practicing. But now you look at Eric, and he's right at the tail of Kyle as these two battling for 3rd overall.
Yeah, and Larry, it's amazing how the traffic can be such a cruel mistress here. As Strikers, just a lap ago, was only a half second back, and now he finds himself almost over 3.5 seconds back with a lot of clear air ahead of him. But this could be a very good sign for Eric Violet that he can try to work Strikers maybe before they get up into more traffic.
Got a good shot there, John Sterling, with Ian Patience behind him. Ian in that McLaren trying to get around that Mercedes, trying to go around the outside to do it. Meanwhile, that's coming up behind them with one of their LMP3s. And he gets on by, but you watch Sterling and Patience battling it out. Patience looks like he doesn't have any of that. He would like to get the run. Maybe he'll do it here on the Andretti straight and get into turn 8 in the lead. See what kind of run he gets off the hairpin. Not as well planted, surprisingly. You would have thought that McLaren would be planting power well coming off of the hairpin, but that Mercedes did a great job of lurching ahead with all that torque. And Sterling pulling away just a little bit as they got on the back straight. Now as they come through these sweepers, does that mid-engine McLaren have a bit of an advantage? Closing up now in through turns 8, 9, and 10. As they're catching the pack in front of them.
Yeah, so as Sterling there and Patience starting to close up on Neil Weston and Steve Daniel just ahead Weston. Well, there you go. Eric Violet puts the car around coming out of the Moss hairpin.
Yep. I would suspect he may have hit some curbs, as these cars maybe don't handle curbs as well as some others. Certainly not as well as a TCR would.
No.
But yeah, that's always the treacherous thing at this hairpin is the way in goes from kind of uphill to flat, but on the way out, it's so bumpy. Oh, we're going to catch a little bit of a replay here of Eric's descent down into the hairpin. Gets into it with some speed, just touches a little bit of grass. The outer curbing looks like may have gotten a little bit of
and Larry, it really looked as though after he had already committed, he checked up basically mid-corner, heading coming out of 5A, and the car just seemed to push maybe a little bit wider on as he was exiting that corner than he had initially intended.
That was my go-kart. I'd say it was like a chassis hop, but these things have a little more things on them to prevent that stuff. But he certainly had a bounce or a bump when he got onto that curbing.
Hey, very, very GR86 like Larry.
Yes. He should be used to it by now. That's what he was in last season. this big group right in here. John Casey right in the middle of this 5-pack of cars. So you got Schwenkler, Jenkins, Casey, and then the 2 Dragotas, Leo and Lucas, and the 2 Astons. There they are at the tail end of this train. I gotta figure Leo's probably the quickest of this group by himself, or maybe Schwenkler, who obviously we had said started from the pits in this race. So we'll see if Schwenkler can pull away, and we'll see if Leo can make his way through, or does Jenkins and Casey have something to say about it?
Follow here, Lucas, pardon me, as he comes under the bridge, and they're going to rise back up the hill there, up towards the hairpin. And look how he closes down Larry.
That is aggressive on the brakes.
On brother Leo, teammate Leo there.
Yeah. Leo getting a great run, though, on John Casey in front of him. Leo may have the advantage by the time they get up there. That Mercedes got such great legs. We'll see if it's enough to hold them off, but that inside line is good if you can get the nose ahead. If not, that outside line turns into the inside, but in this case, Leo is able to get the advantage on Casey. Casey now is sandwiched in between the 2 Dragotas.
All right, as we jump just ahead here, and this is the battle for third in AM. Neil Weston in the Porsche, in the one of the few 718s that we have in the field. Actually, I believe it's the only 718 that we have in the field, and he's got John Sterling in the Mercedes directly behind, and then closing up is John Patience, or probably Ian Patience. His Patience has separated away from Schwenkler, who again is still trying to make his way up through the field. But we'll see how that Porsche, the only one in the field this evening, handles the situation here. As we've got the Mercedes and the McLaren bearing down,
as well as one of our 3s going on by. And I don't think that's just any. That appears like it might be a race leader.
That should be Travis Schwenke in the number 16 machine.
As he makes his way safely on by. Next GT4 in front of him should be Steve Daniel.
Steve Daniel, who also appears to be dealing with a fairly loose car.
Be interesting to see if that changes over the course of this hour-long race tonight as conditions change and tire wear changes. Does the car go from maybe an early push car or early oversteer car to a late push car, or vice versa? Look at the speed Schwenke carries all the way in, tucking underneath Jeff Jacobs here with Russ Ruddock right in front of him. And then you've got Michael Brooks coming up.
And that was Kyle Strikers getting around Michael Brooks to move Strikers now up into second place. So when we last checked in, Strikers had fallen almost 3.5 seconds back from Brooks. And it didn't look like Brooks had put up too much of a fight there.
No, not this time, but that battle will continue as the only portion of the field we were talking about it. He just goes off a little bit. Neil Weston right there at the exit of the hairpin, all packed up and underneath. It's their Strikers with Brooks right on his tail, heading down the Andretti straight.
So Strikers, who had been as far back as 7th at the start of this race, now finds himself currently running second. As we're just about 13 laps in the books, starting at lap number 14.
So quick run, with such a fast average lap speed. Let's see if this BMW of Kevin Ford's got anything for the D2D driver in front of him. Of course, that's a 60 of Chris Thorman. Alex Brown putting up a fight as they go plummeting down the hill. Ford sneaky, kicks her up inside. Look at that, you get the 64 of Peyton in there.
I'm saying Peyton, speaking of sneaky, comes right up the inside of the hairpin.
So Thorman, Ford, Peyton taking it to Brown. Brown, though, still your AM class leader, so he's okay with some of this. Obviously, the more, our points, we give wins for AM category winners. However, the higher up in the standings that they can finish within the pros, the more points they can collect. So it is still important to get a good, strong finish, even if you're just the AM leader already. If you can stay ahead of a couple of pros, rack up points for the overall long season haul.
Here's Baron Glover and Mike Dam on a recovery drive, our former leader and our pole sitter tonight, in the fight now for 4th in LMP3, right on the gearbox there of Michael Brooks.
And they're only about 3 seconds behind second place strikers. So keep your eye on this. Mike Dam is flying out here right now. He's just going to pick his spots carefully. Baron Glover maybe being a little bit of a rabbit here, chasing through the traffic. Dam's not gonna lose sight of him, but the two of them are just roaring through traffic right now, quickly catching up on Michael Brooks and Kyle Strikers.
And Dam there loses a bit of time as he gets caught up behind the number 60 machine. Of course, Thorman gets by on the exit of the hairpin, but that now has allowed Glover to open up a little bit over a second advantage. But you said it, Mike Dam was absolutely flying. He was a couple on the previous lap was 0.7 of a second faster than Glover. And looks like, this is not a good sign. That big off that we saw earlier, Larry, over by turn 2 that had put off Dale Maxwell and also Brad Husty. And Bobby Childs was involved. It looks like Bobby Childs has been assigned a penalty and incident responsibility for that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm sure he'll be in soon to serve that one. I also saw Kevin Ford appearing to just pull in on his own down the pit lane. So we'll see if he's taking an early pit stop here 19 minutes into this 1-hour race.
And, as quickly as things are moving here, Larry, Kevin isn't that far off what we anticipated the pit window to be. We thought in GT4 it would be somewhere between laps 15 and 28. And our GT4 leaders and Kevin Ford, for that matter, had completed 13 laps and currently working 14. So if our calculations are a little bit off, he might just be a bit early.
Perhaps. I do feel like I've got his voice in my head, though. Kevin Ford is all last week at the the Nationals. We were reading these.
The voice of the SCCA Foundation.
Yes, the SCCA Foundation ad that was read. The spot was by Kevin Ford, so I've got that voice in my head as well as your voice on a few of them. Yes. So that was fun to have to. Get to listen to you a couple of times last week.
The brothers Anthony were very happy.
But. So we've got. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's take a look here. Michael Brooks in the 83 machine. He had been challenged by Mike Dam a few moments ago, and now it looks as though Mike Dam is.
That's
now
a
we
big,
know why.
One. Look at the luck, though. He cuts the apex, doesn't hit anything, except
and
for
back on
penalty.
its way.
Yeah, but he easily could have clobbered into a tire barrier there. All he did, it looks like he high centered up on that curbing there at the apex of 8. Doesn't take much. Lucky for him. Didn't find the walls, just found a little bit of a time penalty and back in the way.
That's right, and Mike Dam found him just as they came through the S's there. Gets around, gets the position, so Mike Dam now running in 4th. As Leo Dragota now in the battle of the Aston Martins, all over the back of Tom Jenkins in that, I believe, the midfield motorsports machine. This is the battle for 5th in GT4 AM, and just a little bit ahead of them, Ian Patience, the pro driver in the McLaren.
Yeah, these two asses you would think are pretty equal, but I can tell you what, Leo's got some amazing pace. He really does hit those exits off of that hairpin very well. He's trying to use that momentum. This time he's got a couple of LMP3s. He's kind of has to let on by. Not able to use any of that advantage. He's going to have to wait till the next time around unless he wants to shove his node down the inside of 1, which is another sometimes risky but feasible passing zone. We'll see what kind of run that Leo gets here on the main straight. very short straight. Look at this. He's going to stick his nose
he's
down
taking
there.
a
I
look
think
to
he
the
is.
inside.
At least
Not-
going to show it.
Yeah, not quite close enough, and doesn't look like it affected Jenkins all that much.
I
at
don't
least
know.
going
Jenkins
in.
on the exit had tires out in the grass. Jenkins is watching his mirrors for sure. Leo pestering him. Now he's going to come down the inside, which turns into the outside at 3. Jenkins absolutely a defensive line right now.
Yeah, as we see Dragota go all the way down to the inside, coming through turn number 3, and as they start to make that run up the hill towards the hairpin. Wow, look at that pace.
Yeah. It's good defensive driving there. Jenkins, see what kind of run now he can get off the hairpin. Oh, that's not a
I
good
don't
run.
think it's going to matter, and there's the wall. As Jenkins takes the wall, driver's right coming out of Moss hairpin, and so that is going to move. That's going to move the 118 back around, and wow, I mean, it almost looks like the front of a BMW there, Larry. That the front of that Aston quite a bit more flat.
He was putting up a good fight, but to me it looked like he might have been doing a little bit too much mirror watching there. Got into the bumps on the exit there where the curb is, got on the throttle hard, knowing he needed to hold off Leo, and unfortunately hooks him into the wall. Look at this, we got these two pitting at the same time. Russ Ruddock and Jeff Jacobs coming in together in their BMWs. We saw Kevin Ford pitting in his BMW earlier. Maybe the BMWs are able to pull this off.
Well, we'll see here. Maybe, you know, very early in the pit window, and we've got another driver heading in now as well. Excuse me, Russ Ruddock.
Yep, great battle here. Michael Brooks in the wrong stuff. He's running in 5th. I think that's going to be right on his tail. Looks like Aaron Beaver trying to use the traffic like a pick, and Brooks doing a pretty good job of getting his nose out there first, but it may not be long before Beaver decides to just really make a move and try and shove one down the inside somewhere.
Well, we'll see here as he comes very wide. And I don't know what happened to my voice, Larry. Give me 1 second to try and fix
Take
this
your
up.
time while we watch this marvelous move here of Aaron Beaver to see if he can really make the move. Brooks doing a great job. The nice, smooth exit this time. Great exit, actually, for Brooks in the wrong stuff to get off of the Moss hairpin and down the Andretti straight. Interesting that Beaver not taking the draft.
No, he's
just
sticking to
gonna
the
hang out.
inside there, and
Yeah, deliberately not taking it. I would at least take it and then feel safe. Kyle Stryker, of course, running in 2nd right now with Schwenke in a pretty comfortable 12-second lead. But Stryker's trying to hold off Glover and Dam. They're on their way. They are only 1 second back from him, so he's trying to get through this traffic quickly. There is Baron Glover, and right behind Baron Glover is, of course, Mike Dam, your original pole sitter and early race leader on that recovery.
Larry, on the last lap, Dam was over 1.5 seconds faster than either Strikers or Glover. I think traffic has a lot to do with that, but
here he
goes. He's side by side now with Glover.
Well, we know in qualifying he ran in the low 110s. So he's already run a 110 in this race. His last lap is 11.6. So absolutely, Mike Dam has got some pace right now. He would probably like to get by Glover earlier rather than later and maybe have a shot to catch Schwenke before this thing's over. But he at least is looking to lock in that 2nd place, before, maybe around the pit stop window.
And I'll tell you, I mean, as much as we talk about the Mercedes, Larry, still every time I hear that 5.6 liter V8 from the Ligiers, it's like,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, the
pretty good
exhaust
noise.
note off of that car is just something.
Yes, it's a very good noise. It sounds a whole lot better than a TCR. It sounds better than even the LMDHs, if you ask me, that we have in the World Challenge. These things, they're fun. You can throw them around. They're a little bit durable, but the sounds is pretty darn awesome.
Yeah, speaking of which, Larry, when the World Challenge returns next week, we are likely going to have at least 2 more chassis in LMDH and GTP, and going to have the debut of the new Ferrari as well. That's going to be at Fuji next week, next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, so here we go. Here are Ford, probably Jacobs and Ruddock, who just off of their pit stops. And And they did swap positions here, and Jacobs with the considerably faster, about 3 seconds faster in the pit box than Russ Ruddick. So maybe a little bit difference, small difference in the amount of fuel taken. As Chris Thorman now pits in from third in pro. First pro drivers to come down the pit lane. We did, well, actually, we're showing Schwenkler as having taken a pit stop, but I think that was from the start of the race, if I remember correctly. Oh,
There's
and here
the
we go.
move. He's trying to find that little bit of window. It's not there. But this battle for second place now is heated up quickly, as Dam and Glover have made their way all the way to Strikers. As they're down the back straight with traffic in front of them. There's a couple of Mercedes they got to get them by, and those would be, I believe, the leaders of the race. That's Brown, Copeland, and then Ream are the three that they're dealing with right now.
That is it. There's Ream in the black and yellow McLaren with Copeland directly behind, and Alex Brown as well, and the two Mercedes as they dispatch with them. And now our leader, he's going to just hang, our GT4 leader, the Geodesic racing driver, he's just going to hang the drivers left and let these LMPs come underneath them.
Yeah, good job by everybody there to not really lose any pace. I thought maybe for a second Ream would be caught out, having to give up some time there through 10. But good job by the LMPs of giving him just enough room to make a good clean exit to not ruin his race, because he's obviously in a strong battle with Copeland right now. Brown is the GT4 AM driver, still sort of in the vicinity, but the real battle in GT4 is Ream and Copeland, and they are as they were, about 1 second apart, as the LMP3 battle has plummeted down the hill, and Strikers earlier on the brakes than Glover appears to be. But better exit for Strikers.
Yeah, a little bit slower in, but much faster out, which is key for this long straightaway. Now, Larry, we are pretty much dead center of the pit window for the LMP3s. We did anticipate being anywhere between lap 15 and lap 36. The LMP3s currently working lap number 24. Probably working lap 25. I'm sorry. Now as Schwenke just crosses the line, and that's a lot of smoke on the pit lane, Larry. And that might be, is that Michael? Well, we say Michael Brooks missing the front end, but ooh, that is Dale Maxwell's machine. And so Maxwell had been on the pit lane earlier with as part of that incident with Bobby Childs. I just don't remember the engine being a big fireball earlier.
Mr. Dale and his team might want to grab a fire bottle, because there's definitely some heat cooking in the pit lane for him. Unfortunately, his race appears to be over.
All right, but, Alex Brown now pitting in from the lead in GT4 AM.
I thought maybe we'd start to see some of this here as the traffic is continuing to kind of ebb and flow here. Brown with a pretty decent lead when he came in, so we'll keep our eye on him and what kind of stop he puts down.
And so that's going to move John Sterling up into the lead in GT4 AM and his Mercedes. We're watching Lucas Dragotta right now, currently running in 5th. Just ahead of him is Ian Patience there in the McLaren. Directly behind Patience is Leah Dragotta, the 118 machine, who started off, well, he didn't start off at the tail end of the field, Larry, but he found himself at the tail end of the field after that lap 1 spin.
Yes.
And he's currently challenging for 2nd in class.
Yeah, so we've got a great battle here going on with Patience, and Leo, and Neil Weston. Robert Schwenkler has managed to pull away from this pack a little bit. Remember, he started from the pit lane. He's 4th in the pro category. He's about 5 seconds ahead of these guys, so he's really got great pace tonight. Also want to note, we had a little warning flash up there about stewards under review. Kyle Strikers and Baron Glover apparently had a coming together. There it is. Incident has been reviewed, no action. So that has caused Baron Glover now to drop back into the 7th spot, or has dropped back a couple of seconds here from Strikers. So they're still in that mix, but I see yeah, lots of changes happening up there.
I was just going to ask if maybe Lee had maybe in that replay buffer that we could go back and see that, because we did see Glover sitting on the pit lane without the nose cone on his car, taking what appeared to be taking some repairs. But that car now back out and ask, and I guess I shall receive. Let's take a look.
Coming in through some traffic. A bit of help there.
Yeah.
As he hit the car in front of him, perhaps, and then gets the spin from behind as he unexpectedly slowed up. So that's probably why they said no further review required, no penalties assessed. But unfortunately for Glover, he's able to recover and move, but not the.
And I'll tell you, I think the driver that got the worst of it, Larry, was actually Mike Dam in the 93 machine, who's he had Glover come across his nose, and Mike Dam now finds himself back in the 6th position again. So a couple positions lost in that exchange.
Yeah, you may be right. So kind of waiting for the rest of that field to take their pit stop and see who can sort things out. But you would have thought perhaps with that kind of an incident that might drive a couple of them to come in, but so far, not yet.
Not yet. Well, let's do this, Larry. We're sitting right up at the top of the hour. So why don't we take a quick break? And, I always say that, and when we do, everybody starts pitting in, like Eric Violet right now. But we're going to take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where you are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Elite.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Welcome back to Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, for round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, nobody came into the pits except for the Eric Violet here, but we did have another issue on track, and you can see it there, just popped up, the 235 machine. That's Robert Schweikler from the Wrong Stuff with an incident, and like another penalty assigned for the 235.
Yes, and that actually was contact with your race leader, Travis Schwenke. By his race leader, that was around 11 or 12 seconds, is now all the way down to 3.5. So that's a 10-second post-race penalty assigned to Schweikler, and for Schwenke, he's hoping to climb that lead back up, but that's a tough way to lose some time.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate there. As we're now watching Schwenke's teammate Mike Dam along with Aaron Beaver. See now that
Here
couple
they
of our lump threes coming in. Kyle Strikers pits in from second. Bruce Jackson pitting in from towards the back of the LMP3 field as well. I think almost a lap down from Strikers.
So
that
pre-race
will move
interviewee,
Glover now to second.
Eric Violette making his way through the S's after the earlier spin, still kind of on a bit of a recovery. A little lesson about watching those curbs. Patience currently third in GT4 AM in his McLaren.
So he's moved up a couple of positions as we've had now in AM. Alex Brown has pitted in, and I think Ruddick, but I don't think anybody ahead of Patience in AM has pitted in.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's Sterling, Dragotta, and Patience currently are top three in AM.
Sterling with about 6 seconds on the other two. Dragotta, Patience, obviously kind of locked into it with Neil Weston then right behind them. So it's a good little battle there.
Yeah, it looks like Sterling has the benefit of a lot of clean air ahead of him for the time being.
Something to be said for that.
All right, there's Justin Ream, your pole leader now on the pit lane. Ken Copeland has pitted in as well, and there's Brennan Horn in the D2D Mercedes. So our top three drivers in pro all on the pit lane. Ream and Copeland on their way out just as Horn was starting.
And that's Neil Weston coming down pit lane in our Soul Porsche as he's right there up in the air.
So we're starting to see a lot of our GT4 drivers come in, and again, we thought that the GT4 pit window would be somewhere around 28 laps, Larry, and we're starting to see cars come in right at around 27 laps. So getting towards the end of that of their fueling, and we'll see them come back out. Dominique Angelicchio has come in for his stop. Weston is back on his way. John Casey pitted in. He is back out as well. And again, we know that the LMP3s can run a little bit longer, somewhere in upwards of 36 laps on some fuel, and so they're starting to get towards the end of that window as well. Larry, about 3 laps remaining in that window for them.
Yeah, Mike Dam must be loving this. He just said fastest lap of the race at a 1:10.1, which was 3 seconds faster than pretty much anybody else on the track. Second and a half just to Glover alone on that last lap.
Well,
so
there's Glover right there, directly ahead of him.
Yep.
Not very far ahead.
Yeah, so Mike Dam obviously getting on the pace here. We'll see if he doesn't see traffic, does he continue? Or if there is traffic, does he come in? We got to be about that point here. If you're an LP3, you got to make that call, and how late can you make it? So stay out.
You're going to stay out. They both come underneath Kevin Ford. All right, Leo Dragotta has taken his pit stop, and he is on his way back out. Patience in the Porsche out as well, and it looks like Patience was in the pit lane, Larry, he was in his stall for about 3 seconds longer, I think, than Dragotta.
Mike Dam again right now staying behind Baron Glover.
And you saw how defensive Glover was coming into Moss that time. Practically entered the second part of the Moss hairpin from all the way driver's right. And I think we're about to see a change here.
So kind of running and get using that draft. If he can stick this outside, he'll be on the inside. Looks like that's exactly how he's going to work it. So Mike Dam now up into second.
His teammate Travis Schwenke about 9 seconds up the road. Directly ahead, I believe this is Marlon Jones, who's being lapped there. And
these BMWs is
the two
Kevin
Frito
Ford.
Sport teammates.
Yeah, well, Kevin Ford ducking down the inside there.
He gets around his teammate Russ Ruddick. Ford currently running 7th in Pro. Ruddick, you're currently running 2nd in AM. And Ruddick is taking his pit stop. So we'll see how this plays out.
A handful of the LMP3s that have not made their pit stops yet, including race leader.
Top 4 LMP3s, Schwenke, Dam, Glover, and Beaver are yet to pit. It appears as though all of our GT4 drivers, with the exception of Robert Brist,
Yeah.
have taken a pit stop. And I say that only because we just had Brist on screen a few moments ago. Brist currently running 13th in AM.
All right, Schwenke, we've got to be seeing a pit stop from him soon. Is this going to be the moment as he's going to go around again? Still now with just under, right at the 16 minute to go mark.
Yeah, and he was starting. It appeared as though he was starting to slow down coming into the S's, and I think it was simply to let Brad Husty in that 137 Aston Martin through and onto the front straight.
So it looks like his teammate Mike Dam is in the pit lane this time by. Let's see if this has any impact on that. We'll call it about a 10-second advantage that Schwenke had. And there is Mike Dam. Originally your pole sitter, had that issue early on. Set him back. He's had to work his way through traffic. Well, Travis Schwenke does his thing.
All right, so we're right at the very end of what we thought would be the pit window for the LMP3s, as Schwenke is currently working lap number 37. Race should be going somewhere along the lines of 51 laps for the LMP3s. Let's see if he pits in now. No, not likely. He's going around the outside. Let's see. Oh, nope,
and
here he
proves
comes.
us wrong. Nice to go right across and in, right in front of Lucas Sergota, and your race leader is into the pits. Keep our eye on Baron Glover and Aaron Beaver to see if they go on by. Looks like they're going to.
Yeah, and so that moves Baron Glover, at least temporarily, up to the lead.
To get that extra bonus point for leading a lap at some point during the race. Those bonus points, you want to maximize those throughout the season. This is a good opportunity for Glover to pick one up.
All right, as we have 15 minutes remaining in this 60-minute race. Baron Glover, your overall leader, leads LMP3 with Aaron Beaver second. Travis Schwenke currently in third, and he returns to the action in third place. Should mention that Glover and Beaver, the only two LMP3 drivers yet to take a pit stop in LMP, probably an MP. Let's try that again. In GT4 Pro, Justin Ream back to the lead in his McLaren over Ken Copeland. With Chris Thorman currently running third, and Copeland's DQD teammate David Payton currently running fourth. And then in GT4 AM, Alex Brown, your leader. And Alex has got 3 pro drivers between he and Russ Ruddick currently running second. John Sterling running third. as Baron Glover now pits in from the lead. That's going to, I was going to say that would move Aaron Beaver up to the lead, but Beaver pits in as well.
Keep our eyes on these guys.
Travis Schwenke to move back to the lead.
Yeah, we'll see where Mike Dam is relative to them all.
There is
Mike
Dam.
So he should move into second.
Mike Dam now up into second. Still about 7 seconds back from his teammate Travis Schwenke, but that also will move Strikers back up into third position. Oh, and is that one of our midfield motorsports cars off there in the dirt there?
Brad Husty by chance?
And that is Brad Husty, driver of the number 137 midfield motorsports machine. And he gets that car back underway now, heading up to the hairpin.
I don't see a lot of damage on the car, but certainly something was going on with him. There's Ian Patience in a battle with Chuck Labano. That's the battle for fourth in GT4 AM. Ian Patience is up 9 spots from his original grid position. That's a pretty solid race so far. That car's not putting the power down coming out of the corner. We saw that earlier when he was following one of the other Mercedes. This time again, Labano able to get a little bit better run. See if Labano can actually use that run up the inside of the McLaren.
He took a quick look to the inside. He had a good run out of the corner, Larry, but you know, the McLaren's definitely got some legs on it. And in addition, quite a bit more cornering speed through turn 8. But here's where Labano, perhaps you know, being a little more cautious going into 8, he picks up some ground, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough here coming down in the 1.
These cars definitely have different strengths, don't they?
Yes. We'll see if Labano is mesmerized by the fireballs that come out of the back of that McLaren.
Oh.
The nose got away from him a little bit there. A little bit of push.
This here is then your fourth place, David Payton, and right behind him, your AM leader, Alex Brown. Payton, one of our D2D Aston Martins. Brown, of course, in that Mercedes, leading the way in the AM category by 18 seconds over Russ Ruddock, with obviously some other cars between Brown and Ruddock as well.
All right, 10 minutes left on the clock here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Payton's had a pretty solid race as well. Picked up 6 spots in this race, up to 4th now in this pro category. About 8 seconds down from a podium, but his pace is pretty solid here at this stage. Good and smooth. The car just looks almost super tighty coming out of these little tighter corners.
John Sterling. So Sterling running second in AM, gets around Russ Ruddock. You know, he still has Jacobs, Ford, and Warren, 3 pro drivers that he would have to dispatch with before he gets up to Alex Brown, our current AM leader, and that's almost 20 seconds up the road, Larry, with 8.5 minutes remaining now. That might be bit higher order than what that Mercedes is capable of.
But he's done a great job picking up 7 spots throughout this race, including going from 3rd to 2nd just with that move on Ruddock. So great job for Sterling now. Now he's got to just start to pull away a little bit and comfortably get this thing now with about 8 minutes left. So keeping an eye at the front of the whole field here with Mike Dam chipping away at Travis Schwenke. I'm wondering if Schwenke didn't take enough fuel.
Maybe a little bit of additional fuel savings there. As the gap now is about 4 seconds, and the last time by it's like a 1.2 second, or about 0.3 of a second to the good for Mike Dam.
Yeah, as Labano here in the battle with Patience for 4th and AM category, but yeah, I'm just going to keep an eye on the Schwenke Dam battle, as it was about 6 seconds or so when they came out of the pits, but now with about 7 minutes to go, it's down to 3.5.
Well, and Larry, and just as challenging here, there's Kyle Strikers coming around the outside of the BMW, and he is once again engaging with Mike Dam in the battle for 2nd.
But neither one of them really want to engage at this point. In fact, even Strikers might take the gamble here, get through maybe a lap or 2 before really giving up a drive to Schwenke, because if Schwenke has any interaction with some lap cars, could be a great opportunity for both Dam and Strikers to maybe win this race. They're 4 seconds down from the race leader. We've seen it where traffic can cost you 2-3 seconds at a corner. That happens twice. This thing flips on its head. Schwenke's got to be careful. Strikers and Dam have got to be cautiously aggressive. So kind of run like Dam can get here off the hairpin. He's got a BMW of Kevin Ford in front of him. It looks sketchy, but he's able to get around him.
Yeah, and Larry, that could have been lights out for Mike Dam if Kevin Ford had moved over even just another inch or 2 into that grass driver's left. It looked like the car was just ready to pitch right over into the path of the 93.
Well, 6 minutes down to 3 seconds for Mike Dam and Kyle Strikers catching on Schwenke. This is getting real tight here at the end. I do wonder about Schwenke. This often happens in these races. If you don't take enough fuel, you anticipate, you start slowing down. It's either that or traffic is just really hurting them right now. And for Dam and Strikers, they're kind of catching traffic in the good spots. That's an example right there. Dam able to go right around the Husky car in that 137, around the outside of 1 without really losing any pace at all. Dam continuing his charge. He can actually see his teammate now at just 2.7 up the road. Yeah,
it was less than the length of the front straight. And those GT4 machines starting to get out of the way. Strikers. Here we go. Strikers with a great move gets around Mike Dam as they come through turn 4 and up the hill over towards the hairpin. So moves Strikers now up into 2nd, and Larry, he did not. I mean, the gap was there. He stayed in the throttle, and it was really the best he could do.
Yeah, great opportunity. Great way to use that pick, take that inside, get that line. He's going to now do it again following the 64 up the road there. I think that would be one of our D2Ds. That should be Peyton.
David Peyton in the 64 machine.
Now, Mike Dam still on his heels. Dam would love a 1-2 in this race with his teammate, but he'd love a 1, but getting a 1-2 would be great, but he's got Strikers now to have to worry about. Strikers. Great opportunity here to get some good points. Now with only 5 minutes to go, at some point these guys are going to give up on the idea of winning this race and just decide to make sure that they each finish 2nd. Clearly only 1 can do it.
Or this might be an opportunity for Dam to play a little bit of interference for his teammate as well.
Maybe, but I have a feeling he wants to finish 2nd himself and not to worry too much about teammate out in front. So Dam wants to get around Strikers, and maybe he's going to use Thorman to do it, coming off of the hairpin here. Is this the opportunity for Dam? And then he's the 3rd car through. He's in that 93. He's got maybe a better run. 3 wide. Now they're going to head up the back straight. Is this enough for Dam?
Remember, Dam on round 1, Larry, he was our pole sitter, and he spun awfully early. Ended up 9 laps down at the finish, finishing in 11th position. So the more points he can get in tonight's haul, the better.
Yeah, and so he's not able to make that move. In fact, they even catch up to the the 112 with Dominique and Galicchio there as they're coming in at turns 9 and 10. But all right, so now we're under 4 minutes on the clock. I'd guess maybe 4 laps.
I'd say 3 laps probably.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. As Schwenke will dictate, he is the race leader right now, just 2.5 seconds ahead of these two. Boy, that just continues. Schwenke's last lap, a 1:13.6. Striker's a 1:11.8. So Schwenke losing that time 2 seconds to these two rivals behind him. There he is. Let's see if it's just traffic or perhaps there's something else going on with Schwenke, who did, by the way, have some contact earlier in the race. So it is possible that maybe he's just dealing with a suboptimal car.
There you go. There is Strikers, and there is Dam, not very far behind. We have 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock, and these racers, they're turning in 112s to 113s. Let's take a look here. As Schwenke comes back onto the front straight, has to give up a little bit of exit speed there.
I guess that's gonna be 3 more laps.
3 more laps. Yeah.
Maybe they'll be under. Maybe they'll be at 2. Could be 2 more now with just 2 minutes left on the clock. Look at this. Dan though is going to try and go side by side. Not enough room underneath Strikers. Look at them. They're just 1.8 seconds behind Schwenke. Schwenke definitely limping around here, trying to pick up the pace. It was a 1:11.3 that time, but behind him, Strikers and Dan were into the 110s. So again, the gap closing with what we believe to be a lap and a half maybe to go. They are within draft range now, our Strikers and Dam, as they approach the back straight. And look at this. Schwenke's got a car in front of him, and he's going to go wide.
Schwenke's going to run wide into the grass, and taking the lead on perhaps the penultimate lap, Kyle Strikers.
Not yet, because now you get the side-by-sides.
That's right. Mike Dam gets around Schwenke as well. So our leader now, with a lap and a quarter remaining, falls back into 3rd position. Kyle Strikers, your new leader, as they come down out of the Andretti hairpin and into the S's.
I do wonder if Schwenke's got some issues there. That didn't help following traffic into the hairpin. But now, I'm guessing, there it is, white flag in the air. 1 lap to go, 1 minute on the clock. Fuel levels are not a problem now. Strikers and Dam, they've been battling out for the last, 15, 20 laps. And now you've got to go ahead and pass Schwenke. 3 drivers, 0.3 of a second separated them. About 8 corners to go. This is going to be an intense back straight as they go down the hairpin. I don't think we're going to see a move until we get there. They come off at 3, down the hill. They come off of the Moss hairpin at 5. And that's when you might see a push. You got a double draft potential for Schwenke coming, and Mike Dam's going to get a single draft. Oh, is he going to go inside early?
And Dam took a lunge going into the hairpin, comes right up to the gearbox of Kyle Strikers as they now come onto the Andretti straight. Strikers moves to the center of the track early to get around some of that GT4 traffic, and now they're going to have to get around as that Labano there. As they make their way down over towards turn number 8, and now going too wide into the S's. Mike Dam to driver's left. He's going to go try and get around the outside of Strikers, but Strikers holds him off going into 9, and coming around the final corner, Kyle Strikers is going to take the win tonight here in round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Mike Dam will finish 2nd. Travis Schwenke will finish 3rd in LMP3. And now we're watching Justin Ream in that Geodesic Racing McLaren. He's coming into the S's for the very last time. And as he comes onto the front straight, Justin Ream, he is your winner in GT4 Pro. Ken Copeland just that far behind. Copeland now coming around the S's. He will come onto the front straight. He will finish 2nd. Chris Thorman from D2D eRacing, he'll finish in 3rd.
Just waiting for then David Payton to finish 4th, and then right behind him, there he is, Alex Brown. We got 1 more quarter to go to take the win in GT4M in that Mercedes. Looks like he's going to go ahead and do just that.
There you go, Alex Brown, your winner tonight in the number 67 machine in GT4AM. And John Sterling and Russ Ruddick, they were running, they had been in a pretty good fight here, Larry, on the last couple of laps. But it is going to be now coming, those are our leaders coming on the cooldown lap. It will be John Sterling finishing second. Russ Ruddick will finish third in GT4 AM. All right,
unbelievable finish. That was exciting. The last lap among those three LMP3s was just intense.
It was so intense as Mike Dams moved to the outside to try and get that run on the last lap, and Strikers was able to hold him off for the win. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Thank some of our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where you've just seen round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Elite. We'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
All right, and welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where you've just seen round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and let's go take a look at that finishing order once again, Larry, and then we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here. Over in LMP3 for SRT Esport, Kyle Strikers taking his a maiden win here, and I believe that's his first win, Larry, either here or in the World Challenge in the prototype cars. Mike Dam from Orion finishing second. Travis Schwenke coming home in third. In pro for Geodesic Racing, Justin Ream, he was fastest in practice. He takes the win tonight here. And Ken Copeland from Team Esport Racer finishing second. Chris Thorman from D2D finishing in third. And then in GT4 AM for Team Collusion, it was no illusion. Alex Brown takes the win with John Sterling, his teammate, finishing second. Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise Motorsport finishing in third. All right, let's see if we've got any of our podium finishers here ready to go. And we do, Larry. We've got both Alex Brown, our AM category winner, and Justin Ream, our pro category winner. Who would you like to talk to first, Larry?
Let's start with Alex Brown.
All right, let's start off with Alex Brown for Team Collusion taking the win tonight in GT4 AM.
Alex Brown, so we started out as qualifying ended. We've seen that the Canadians had all of the top positions covered in their respective classes. You went on to secure the victory in the GT4 AM. Is this a little bit of pride for the Maple Leaf here tonight?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm hoping you saw my car with the big old Maple Leaf on top. We got a little red flannel going. Sometimes they even added denim for the Canadian tuxedo there. Not to mention, I've watched Trans Am, Speed Touring, IMSA here, Canadian Tire Series. Actually, it's the Pinty Series now in NASCAR. And I've walked this track, I've biked this track. I'm so happy to win this, and I'm probably going to get bumped up to pro just because.
Well,
hopefully
if you
for
do,
one
you'll
round
be
a season.
faster as well. You were running with that group for a good portion of this race. You really did. You were class the field in the end, but right there in the middle of the mix of with the pro. Is it the track, or are you just finding your groove here with this car?
I have to admit, like, I mean, the GT4s I seem to be a bit more comfortable with than, say, the GT3s that we're going to run next week. So, but I mean, I was okay maybe at VIR. I got wrecked on the first lap, unfortunately, which was a bit sad. But I mean, yeah, I mean, as soon as this track came out in iRacing, this tells you how long I've been on here. By the way, I got my $15. Thank you, iRacing. Like I just run here because I love this place. I love it. I love it. I love it. I camp out by that snack booth outside of turn 2 on the inside of the track. So, woo.
Yeah, that it's awesome. I'm sure it's got to feel great to see this place for realsies and get in here in the sim race and do as well as you did. And it's awesome stuff, Alex. So, but victory here tonight obviously is special, but I'm sure you got some folks that you want to thank to help you get here.
Yeah. First off, thanks to the wife for letting me do this tonight. Thanks to my team, Team Collusion, by the way. I think I'm looking at the stats here with John Sterling and myself. That's 1-2. I got to do a big shout out. I have D-Dub button boxes still on my car. They actually, today, made an announcement that they're no longer going to be making button boxes. So Dennis Warren's there. I don't know if he's watching. I shared the link and hopefully he's watching, but thank you very much. I've been happy to have D-Dub button boxes on the car for like the last couple years. Just fun for that. Good Canadian company. I'm working on getting a couple other guys in here. Thank you to Ricmotech, Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics. Like, I don't know if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. Thank you to you guys. This is cool.
Awesome stuff. Well, congratulations, Alex, on a well-earned victory here tonight at Mosport.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Alex Brown for Team Collusion. And you know, Larry, I still contend that he was racing tonight from the paddock.
He may be.
Given everything that he ran down and the fact that he hangs out at the snack bar, I'm
Awesome
fairly certain. All right, let's take a look now as and first off, we already have points up and running at Extreme Motorsports. If you want to go to xmsracing.com. And here after 2 rounds in GT4M, Leo Dragotta and for Dragon Sport and Ian Patience, great run in the Porsche tonight. Those 2 drivers now, or probably not the Porsche, in the McLaren, tied at 94 points with Chuck Labano 1 point back at 93. All right, so let's move over now to GT4 Pro. And we're going to talk to Justin Ream, your winner tonight in the Geodesic Racing McLaren.
All right, Justin, you had a great qualifying session. Put this thing up on that pole. You and Ken had an awesome battle for the first half of this race. Were you guys just trying to pull away from the field, or was this just neck and neck the whole time?
I was just trying to pull away, to be honest. It's kind of a track that keeps everyone close, with it being short and lap times are really close together. So that, and I was kind of hoping to break the draft from him once the LMP3s got through. So yeah, that was just kind of the whole game plan. Yeah.
Well, an awesome run for you here tonight. You really did just kind of put on a show at the end. I think it was about a 9-second gap or something. You just kind of pulled away there. How was the traffic? Are you able to use it to your advantage and help you grow that gap a little bit?
Traffic wasn't terrible. I think it was kind of hit and miss between everyone. Sometimes you got lucky, sometimes you were just kind of in a poor position. So yeah, I wasn't really trying to use it. I guess I was just trying to not lose as much time as possible.
Yeah, well, we just talked to Alex Brown, our winner of the AM category, a Canadian who talked about how much he loves this track. Are you of the same, a Canadian who loves this track? Is this one that you wanted to win for a little bit of pride?
I don't love the track, but it's not a terrible track. There's definitely worse tracks out there, but it's definitely better than Montreal, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, congrats on the victory here tonight, winning the GT4 Pro. Never easy to do, and I'm sure your team or some folks have helped you out here to get you this win.
Yeah, the guys over at Geodesic Racing have been helping me out. So.
Well, awesome stuff. Well, congratulations, Justin, on your victory here tonight at Mosport, winning a GT4 Pro.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, there you go. Justin Ream from Geodesic Racing and a rousing endorsement for Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
He's not wrong. It is better than Montreal.
That is true. All right, let's move over to LMP3, taking the lead with 1 lap to go. And then the win, our first non-Canadian taking a win tonight here at Mosport. It is Kyle Strikers for Team SRT Esports.
Yeah, blocking the full Canadian sweep to win all 3 classes. Kyle comes away with a victory, but wow, what a crazy last 2 laps. You and Mike were catching Travis at like a second or 2 a lap, and suddenly he has an issue coming out of a hairpin. You duck inside, you get around him, but that last lap, could you even take a breath?
Yeah, words to describe that finish: intense. And you're right. I think the last 3 laps I didn't take a breath. It was just crazy, intense, great racing. Mike and Travis, both phenomenal drivers, and it was awesome to race as hard as we did. And we never made contact, which is great too. Love it. Great feeling. Great racing all the way up and down the field here today.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of an up and down. At one point, you're sitting back there, maybe battling, thinking that the win's not really possible. What was it, 9-10 seconds or so? You were back there behind Travis. You come out of the pits, and did you notice that his pace was kind of falling off and your pace was picking up? Were you looking at that delta?
I was trying not to, because usually when I start looking at lap times and how I'm closing the gap, I usually get in my head and then make mistakes. I mean, this race was all about just being able to manage traffic. I definitely don't think I was the fastest car out there. I qualified, I think, 7th, but, I think just playing my cards right, lifting off early when I had a GT4 in front of me in a slower corner and just trying to get a good exit to slingshot out, I think really helped me. It just, again, this track and this, racing and the series here, it's tough because the P3s, they have so much top end speed, but when you get into those lower speed corners, kind of the gap slows down a little bit, to where, we're kind of the same pace as the GT4 through the more, slower corners. So just being able to manage that, I think that was huge, and getting all that to work is just awesome. It's just a great feeling. Just, again, an overall great race.
Yeah, it absolutely was. It was such a joy to watch you guys battling this thing out to make that big comeback. And those last 2 laps, I could watch that over and over again. That was pretty incredible. Is this your first victory here with the Extreme Series?
Yeah, this is my first win. Coming into my 2nd season here, ran in the GTP. Not really a fan of that car, but then as soon as iRacing came out with this P3, it is a riot. It is a great car. Only gripe with it is that it's kind of annoying to get used to, driving on the right side, but it's a phenomenal car, and I love it. And hopefully more wins to come because this car is just awesome.
Well, you definitely can enjoy this one. You can soak this in tonight. Maybe it'll pop a little bubbly for that first victory for you here in the series. And well earned. Awesome job tonight, Kyle. Any of your teammates or friends and family you want to thank for helping you along the way?
Just all the guys over at Speedbricks Racing Team Esport. Without them, I'd be nowhere near here. Unfortunately, my teammate Ryan was under the weather today, so he couldn't race. So, shout out to him too. We spend hours, working on setups and just getting practice laps in together. So it's awesome to have a good teammate who's, a similar pace as me. So, pushing each other faster and faster every week. So I know we had a pretty strong start to VIR. Do you win here? Carry that into the next races here and hopefully, fight for the overall championship as well as the team championship.
Well, awesome job tonight, Kyle. Getting victory here at Mosport LMP3. Congrats.
Thanks,
right,
guys.
There you go. Kyle Strikers from SRT Esport. And of course, he was talking about his teammate Ryan Reeves, who did not race here with us this evening. All right, so Larry, real quick, I had run down the where we stand in the points after 2 rounds in GT4 AM. If we take a look at GT4 Pro after 2 rounds, Ken Copeland currently your leader with 128 points. He's got a 14-point advantage over David Payton from D2D eRacing, and David's teammate Brennan Horn only a single point back from there at 113. And in LMP3, Kyle Strikers now goes to the top of the leaderboard, 119 points to Travis Schwenke's 114. Eric Violet currently sitting 3rd in the championship after 2 rounds at 111. And Mike Dam from Orion and Baron Glover from The Wrong Stuff sitting fourth, tied at 108 points. All right, so wrapping things up here, let's take a look at what we've got on the schedule coming up in the near future for our different Ricmotech series. Next week, Monday, September 18th, the Ricmotech World Challenge returns with round number 2. We're going to be heading to Japan and heading to the Fuji GP circuit. Our GTP machines and also the GT3 cars will be running, and as we said, with some of the changes in the iRacing series and some new platforms, gonna probably see some new cars as well, and so you don't want to miss that. And then in 2 weeks, the SportsCar series returns for round number 3. We're going to be at the Indy Road Course for round 3 of the series. Please join us Monday night, September 25th. And then finally, come January, the Ricmotech Club Sport Series for our GR86 Cup cars. Eric Violet's going to love that. And for the Mazda MX-5 Cup cars, Global MX-5 Cup cars, they will return. Don't have an location yet, but that will be early January of 2024. All right, so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Lee Thompson, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night from Fuji. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.